Hey, record loving friends, it's Brian from Tokyorecordstyle. I want to tell you about a very lucky experience that I had when I was about 14 years old. I somehow managed to score a ticket to Space Camp. And if you were 15, 14, 13 years old in 1985, 6, and 7, and you got a ticket to Space Camp, that was like a golden Willy Wonka chocolate factory ticket. It was a huge deal. And I think anybody could have gone, but there was something about maybe you had to be something or other. And however, I managed to qualify, or my parents simply forked over the cash. I don't remember what it was, but it provided me about 10 days, I want to say, one summer. Actually, it was during the school year. We got out of school to go to Huntsville, Alabama, to spend basically 10 days in junior astronaut camp. And it was one of the most fun and formative experiences from my youth. And a lot of people have asked me, what's space camp like? And as best I can remember it is, first, you get the packet in the mail that comes, and it has your flight suit in it. And you get this, flight suit with your name, Peterson, my last name on it. You get the American flag and the NASA thing, and you get instructions that you're meant to wear this on the plane, which takes you from your hometown to Huntsville, so the space camp people can identify you on the plane. So the first thing that you get to do is put on this astronaut, light blue, I think it was, flight suit. And it was just the coolest. I was so excited. And I remember I got on the plane and I'd read all the brochures and I'd read the manual that I needed to know, and I knew which group I was going to be in, and I knew, maybe I had a letter from my team's counselor, and I had a little bit of an idea of what was going to happen. And I got on this plane and I was sitting back in row seat G4, and I heard a message on the intercom from the captain saying, "Ladies and gentlemen, we have a special announcement. We have a young junior astronaut on the plane today. We'd like to invite him up to first class." I remember I got to be so surprised and strut my stuff up to first class, I think with a couple other space campers who were also Huntsville bound. It was so exciting. And Huntsville is, of course, in Alabama, and it is home to the Space and Rocket Center, which is adjacent to the space camp, the first space camp. Now I think they have space camps. There's several of them. I believe there is now one in Florida, and there's one maybe in California, but Huntsville was the original. And Huntsville has a rocket testing facilities. That's one of the main industries in that part of the country and one of the important industries of the state. They test rockets in Alabama, and all of the famous experimental spacecraft and aircraft that took us, to the stars, they've all been retired in Huntsville. And there is a Saturn V rocket there, the Mercury rockets, there's a space shuttle there. In fact, the week that I was there, I happened to go a couple of days early, and it allowed me to see them bring in the Pathfinder and install it in this new installation that was going to be put in the grounds. And the Pathfinder was a space shuttle that was built to specifications in terms of dimensions and size of an actual space shuttle, but it was a non-functioning aircraft, and it was simply used to build all the towers and the rovers and the things that move the shuttle around. And it had been retired, and they were bringing it to the camp. They'd built this large, concrete towers where this space vehicle would eventually rest. And so they brought in the Pathfinder on the day that I arrived, and then they brought in the giant orange external tank, that sits in between the two SRBs, solid rocket boosters. And this thing was one of the biggest things I'd ever seen in my life. It took 4 semi-trucks long on all these trailers and this convoluted path, and they cut down trees, and 6 cranes picked it up and put it on this thing, and then they hoisted up the Pathfinder and put it on, and then the SRB rockets came on, and it became a permanent installation at the Space and Rocket Museum in Huntsville. Then we went on to have a week or so of space camping, and every morning we woke up and did calisthenics, and we read our camp manuals, and we found out what each day's itinerary was going to be. And we went to the cafeteria, and we saw hundreds of other kids who were having, dehydrated ice cream and Space Shuttle rocket French fries for breakfast, lunch, and we would go to a seminar and hear about the Hubble telescope or about the latest innovations in space travel, and we would sit and listen to a esteemed speaker or maybe an astronaut, and we would hear about perspectives of working in the space industry. And then we would take some of those experiences and learnings, and we would go to build our own rockets or build our own gadgets and build models of satellites and such. And we learn about all the roles of all the different people that are involved in spaceflight, from the mission control to the commander and the pilot and the scientists, all the people who take part in getting humans into space. And at the end of each day, we would have a special sort of fun activity, and there was always this amazing movie theater and planetarium where you could go and learn more about the stars or watch some extraordinary movie about the history of the Saturn V rocket or the lunar module or the moon landing. It was just amazing. I even got my first kiss at space camp in the movie theater. Nicole from Tacoma, Washington. Oh my God. Anyway, at the end of these 7 days, your counselor, who by this point has learned what your special talents and merits are, and based on these, will assign you a role in the team, in the launch team of your mission. Each camp squad goes on a mission at the end of the week, and all the various simulators and construction projects and various things that you've done throughout the week will apply to this mission. You will get to use your skills and your knowledge to go into outer space in this flight simulator. And little do you know that along the flight, you'll encounter some unexpected problems, and it'll be up to you and your team and your teamwork to solve the problems and get everybody back to Earth safely. There's the mission control team, and there is the science and medical team, and there is the pilot and commander, and there are the spacewalkers. And my role at 14, as best I can remember, was the mission specialist, and that afforded me the chance to sit in the top level of the I was on board the Space Shuttle, and we went into space, and mid-flight, I got to don the enormous space suit and helmet and go get hooked up to this crazy robot, sort of like air hockey, hovering renticular arm, I want to say. What's that called? And I was turned upside down, and all the while I had to put together this sort of, Lincoln log kind of, what do they call those? Little screws into little joints, and I had to build this crazy contraption that would have simulated a spacewalk and repairing, let's say, a satellite on a space mission. And then when we returned into Earth's orbit, our bay doors wouldn't shut. And it was a giant catastrophe, and we didn't know what to do, and we had to reroute power from this battery to another one, and we had to read these manuals that we had on deck, and we had to go and flip the switches, and it's just so fun. I just go on and on about it, but it was such a blast, and it really made me always think about Earth's context within the universe. I just always had this perspective. One of the things that I woke my mind to as a young kid was seeing stars for whatever reason. This perspective gave me some kind of greater context of my place in the universe. But rather than looking up to the sky, once I was laying down with my back on the ground, and the stars were not really above me, but they were in front of me. It was if I was, on the leading edge, laying down on the earth, and I could see the stars below me and the stars above me. And I don't know why that particular experience affected me, but it's given me something that I like to think is akin to those astronauts saying that they saw that Earthrise on moon, and the pale blue dot. I wasn't alive during the Saturn V Apollo missions that took man to the moon. That was before I was even born. But at any rate, I was just always obsessed with space and space travel. And now that we're in this new era of space travel, I love watching the rockets take off. I would always skip school to stay home to watch them. And maybe if you're around my age, you probably remember very, very vividly being in a classroom when the Challenger disaster happened. It was just a very, very formative part of my life, and probably yours too. So it was so much so that I collected a lot of model rockets and model planes, and I built rockets, and I was at the hobby shop every weekend buying rockets and, launching it with those little control things, and the parachute comes down, and sometimes they'd get cut and stuck in trees, or so many misadventures. So why am I talking about Space Camp? Well, my passion for space still continues on, even though, I'm not really much of a student of it. But I will say I have a son whose name is Apollo. And the reason that his name is Apollo is multifold. His sister is Zoe. She's at the end of the alphabet. Apollo is at the beginning of the alphabet. His sister Zoe has the word moon in her Japanese name, and Apollo, of course, is the sun god. There was a lot of consideration about his name. There's also a famous Olympic speed skater whose name is Apollo Ono, and he is half Japanese and half American. And my whole wish to sort of incorporate celestial bodies into my kids' names was so that they could have some context that the moon that they see in the sky is the same moon that their grandparents see in the sky, and that I wanted to give them that perspective. So another great thing that came out of, being totally obsessed with space when I was a kid was that during the Cold War, and when Russia was the big bad enemy of America, there was this cooperation that existed in space, and the astronauts and the cosmonauts were buddies. And I always really appreciated seeing those early days of the space station, International Space Station, the ISS, and when the Russians and the Americans would arrive on the space station together, and they would be floating, weightless, and they would make a ring of international flags, and it represented a symbol of peace. So I was always deeply moved by that, and it just has stuck with me all these years. I had telescopes, and I look for planets in the sky, and I tried to have my astronomy apps on my phone so I can find the different constellations in the night sky and so on. I was very, very delighted when I met somebody in our vinyl music loving community that is not only interested in space like I am, but he has been working in the space industry for a really, really long time. And his name is BarakaPDub, Paul, who is in, Texas, I think. I'm pretty sure Paul's in Texas. And Paul has been working in the space industry for many, many years. And I think he's done lots of different roles. And I think he has an engineering degree and background. And I think he's worked in many different facets of space travel. And what his current appointment is to keep astronauts safe in space. And anything that goes up into space has to be vetted and checked, and everything needs to be accounted for. Every last probably milligram has to be accounted for. And when there's so many different parties and agencies and international stakeholders involved, there needs to be some checks to make sure that everybody is following the correct protocols. And so Paul has to come to Japan and liaise with Japan's version of NASA, which is JAXA, JAXA. And JAXA is not as a celebrated brand, if you will, as NASA, but it's still a huge, national identity and national asset. It inspires people on, all kinds of levels. The Hayabusa is a very famous space vehicle. There's probably all kinds of tools that are on all of the different space exploration satellites and vehicles. And so they launched the rockets from Kyushu. Of course, there's been numerous Japanese astronauts who have been part of the Space Shuttle program and the ISS and so on. So Paul comes to Japan every so often to liaise with his JAXA counterparts. And on the last time that he came here, we rendezvoused and shared our passion for music, and we went and had some burgers and had a killer night of talking about music and talking about space and talking about hi-fi and all kinds of stuff. Super, super cool dude. So he said, hey, I told him how passionate I was about these brands and about these cultural movements and space travel and how it really inspires the entire nation, the entire world. And Paul said, oh man, you really get it. If I could have been an astronaut, if I could have worked in the space program, I lost interest when I was a teenager for a bit of time, but that would be a dream job. I would go to space. If I could get a ticket to go to space, I would definitely go. And so Paul wrote to me and said, hey, send me your address. Let me send you some swag from NASA. And I said, no, it's got to be an arm and a leg to get something over here. And he said, no, I want to send something. And I said, no, you shouldn't. But something arrived in the mail today, and I don't know what it is, but I am so pumped to open it. And I don't even really know if it's from him. I think it is. But what's Paul's last name? Hold on, I got to get his name, BarakaPDub, comes from, I have to check. It's from the movie called Baraka. It was made by Ron Frick, who was the cinematographer for Keanu Scotzi. And that series of, if you don't know the Keanu Scotzi series and Koyanos, I forgot how, they're these kind of strange, I believe they're Native American names, but they're very compelling, ambient, cinematic masterpieces shot on 70 millimeter film, high resolution, slow motion of the earth and the beauty of the earth and the magnificence of our world, both good and bad, the destructive aspects of it, the natural aspects of it. And I haven't seen Baraka, but I think he gets his name from Baraka, this film. Yeah, Paul. So Paul BarakaPDub. Sorry if I'm butchering it. But here's the package that he sent today. It's a funky package that we don't often get in Japan. I think it was once a record something or other, hi-fi thing. But I'm going to open it up and see what is in here. I'm really, really curious. And I just wanted to commemorate this little moment by checking out what's in here. Oh my goodness gracious. Oh my goodness. What is going on here? Oh my God, look at this. International Space Station 2025 calendar. National Aeronautics and Space Administration. Look at that image. Wow. Awesome. Okay, so it's got greetings from Houston, Texas. I think that's where Paul is. International Space Station Deputy Program Manager, operations integration manager, messages from the chief of staff, International Space Station Director, NASA headquarters. Okay, these are all the program managers, a message from them. Oh, and some information about the International Space Station, which I think only has a few more years of, and then I think it's going to be soon decommissioned, and then I think they're going to build something else. This is the, what do they call this? This was the, I forget the name of the, I should know the name, but this is the observatory inside the space station where you can get really great views of the Earth. And you'll see right outside of this little module that comes off of the space station, there's like 5 cameras with giant, huge lenses, big, giant, like Canon cameras with 400, 600 millimeter cameras. Okay, so that's the that looks like the Russian one. What's the Russian one called again? I want to say like Suez. Yeah, Soyuz. That's the Soyuz. That's the shape of the Soyuz rocket. It's kind of a funky design. Oh, there's the window to the world. An international crew of 7 people live and work while traveling at a speed of 5 miles per second, orbiting Earth about every 90 minutes. That means in 24 hours, the space station makes 16 orbits of Earth, traveling through 16 sunrises and sunsets. The southern coast of Africa is pictured from the International Space Station's 7-window cupola. That's what this is called, the cupola. And do I see the cameras? I don't see the cameras. But right off here in the distance, there's some giant SLR cameras. Here they're holding them right there. Oh, there they are. Nice. Oh, dude, thank you so much. This is going to be so fun. This is going to be so fun. I'm going to put this... Oh my God, is that for real? Okay, so you got to have some cool friends who work in space. Shout out to Canada, who makes the giant Canada Arm 2, okay? This is the one that does a lot of the grabbing and moving and fixing and all kinds of things. They can move it all around the space station. It's really cool. And that is Canada's contribution. You can see big old Canada's right here. Looks like they've got some robots in space. Oh my God, just beautiful pictures of... That's Mount Fuji. I bet you that's Fuji. Okay, amazing. Dude, thank you so much. That is really, really thoughtful. I really appreciate it. That's going to be a nice little treasure. And oh my God, I'm a little bit... I don't want to embarrass Paul because it seems that there's some more stuff in here. But I just got to open it. I got to do it anyway. Oh, look at this. Hold on, I'll save this for last. This is so far beyond the Call of Duty. Oh my God, this is like so far beyond the Call of Duty. There's a lot of stuff in here. Oh, I nearly bought this. I don't know what happened to mine. Dude, you are a legend, Paul. Stanley Turrentine, Mr. Natural, and Herbie and the Headhunters. Oh my goodness. Analog Productions, Chad Chasm. Wow, high five. Dude, thank you so much. Tone Poet, I don't have any of these Tone Poet records. I'm really stoked. Lee Morgan, McCoy Tyner, Bob Cranshaw, Elvin Jones, Ray Barretto. Wow. This feels like 2 records too. 180 gram, proper Tone Poet Blue Note. Wow, thank you so much. And Herbie and the Headhunters, Watermelon Man. I love this record. I recently learned about this. I grew up with this record. I don't have it anymore. I don't know what happened. How did I say goodbye to this record at one point? But this is a new repress. I'm very, very stoked. But I learned something about, this one's got Chameleon on side 1. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom. And then it's got Watermelon Man on the side B, I think. And I didn't know, but I recently heard that Herbie, the guy the ice cream man who drives around the neighborhood with ice cream, there was a watermelon version of this. in, I don't know, New York, Brooklyn or something. And he would have he would hear the mothers screaming for the watermelon man, or maybe it was the chime of the watermelon truck, but it would be the "Hey, watermelon man." He would hear this, people shouting, "Hey, watermelon man," and that's why the melody is da 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 da. Hey, watermelon man. That is so nice. But there is even more. Oh my God, I am so stoked. Oh my God, wait till you see these guys. This is turning into a rather wild video. Hold on. Wow. Okay, here is a sticker from Mogen Sen. This is a gorgeous sticker. I don't know well about this. This might be one of the new teams, one of the new missions. Crew 7 patch description. Central to the Crew 7 patch is the colorful Earth with its beauty and magnificence standing out against the white dragon and black background. The carrying dragon holds the Earth, protecting it, highlighting that every aspect of Crew 7's long-duration mission is ultimately for the benefit of our home planet and those on it. The dragon is a shout-out to the namesake of the Crew Dragon capsule, delivering the crew of 4 to and from the International Space Station. Okay, so the Dragon rocket, this is their mission. This is the official name of the crew patch. And the Mogen Sen mission, I would think. I don't really know that well about it, but that's freaking gorgeous. Holy smokes. Very nice sticker. And then he sent me also a little badge of it. I wish I could zoom in on this so you could see it real good. Maybe I'll try to zoom in. So there's a little brass, little brass badge. And then another one with the International Space Station. I'll take a picture so you can see it up close. And look what it has on it. It's got all the flags of all the people involved, all the nations involved in all the missions. I'm so touched. Oh, man. And then he sent me one more. A NASA one. Dude, I think I gotta go get a NASA ball cap. I gotta go get a proper cap. But for now, this one's going on my hat. This one is definitely going on my hat. I'm gonna wear this with pride. Where can I put it? It doesn't want to go through it. There we go. Paul, can astronauts have hair like this? Oh my God. What do you guys think? Dang! Thank you so much. Stanley Turrentine, Mr. Natural, Herbie Headcock and the Headhunters, an awesome International Space Station calendar, stickers and badges galore. Dude, I am so stoked. Thank you so much, Paul. This is the first official VCLT I've ever gotten. And boy, you did not disappoint. Thank you so much, Paul. This really means the world to me. I'm going to keep loving all the space exploration that's going on. I'm so excited about this second chapter. I'm so grateful for you for sending all of this and just to know you and to be able to connect to you and hear more about your adventures in space travel. So everybody, please go check out Paul's BarakaPDub and go follow him. He's got some great videos. You can imagine anybody who works at Mission Control is going to take their time to make very perfect, precise videos. So I don't think they're as unpolished as mine. And for that reason, they take a little bit more effort to make. So huge salute to you, Paul. Thank you so much. And let's all look to the stars and to infinity and beyond. Okay. Bye, guys.